Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lords of the Night. With me, as always, is the Lord of Pain, Ranting Monkey,
Hello.
and the Lord of Pennies, Satsu 2 cents.
Shh, I'm hiding from the police.
Is it a day that ends in Y?
Okay,
Yes.
they're gone. What's up, guys?
And I am your host, Scribe, the Lord of Punishment, and yeah, I don't have a clever opener beyond that. So
Well, we need to talk.
Well, yes, we do. But first, hello, chat. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well tonight. And before the stream started, thank you, Point Curation. Hi, Mashisu. Hope you're having a good night. Was from Point Curation. So Point Curation wants to say hi to Mashisu.
And
Hi, Mash.
they
I want to say hi to Mash, too.
do it.
Let's see. How are you guys doing this evening?
I'm sad because we have to fire Satsu.
Oh.
Oh,
It's
Okay.
come to my attention that comparing black people to monkeys is a fireable offense.
oh.
And
I have never done such a thing.
you have done that. I have it on video.
I don't
Oh,
recall.
So
Is it body cam footage?
we're going to have to let him go. We're not letting him go today.
Oh, wait a minute. You're talking about when I got you in trouble?
Yes. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Hold on. They said referring to other black people as
When I saw that Roseanne thing today, that was the first thing that popped in my head. Like, that motherfucker got me in trouble for that shit. Anyhow.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that momentarily. I got that as our top story. Satsu, how are you this evening?
I was good until I was unemployed, so.
Oh, okay. Well, you can blame Monkey for that one because I had nothing to do with it.
Wait, was that racist?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if it was. I'm just reflexively saying yes because why not these days? Everything.
You'll have to hire me back anyway, because I'll just say you fired me because I was black, and there'll be a huge issue, you know.
Oh, damn those federal laws. Let's see. Monkey Dick, Jim Jones, movies. Hit that like button if you have not already, and it appears that many of you have not. And share our stuff. Share our stuff like the static image of a Fallout bobblehead sitting in front of a screen for 7 hours without anything happening. Holy crap! That I went to the Twitch channel. Like at the top of every hour, they were like, "There's only 3 minutes left. What's it? Is it going to happen now? Is it going to happen now?" And like the top of the hour would pass and nothing would happen. Like, oh god! And you see the view count. Well, the view count was in the millions, like 1.4 million or something at the time that I looked at it. But the people live watching it was up in the 140, 130,000 people just watching basically a static image. And I just thought, whoever is the marketing director for Bethesda should get a raise because they spent no money and got all the attention in the world doing absolutely nothing except showing a static image and occasionally having a puppet make some movements behind the scenes or whatever. It was just anyway.
Well, it's genius marketing if it turns out well.
Well, yeah, there has to be a payoff, and everybody's like, "Oh, what is it? What's it going to be? I hope it's not something stupid." Like, well, I mean, it's going to be a video game, so of course it's stupid. But I mean, it's just, I mean, hopefully it's not like Fallout Shelter 2 or something, or like Fallout Shelter comes to the Switch or something stupid like that. People are predicting it'll be a remaster of Fallout 3 for the 10-year anniversary, or a Fallout 5, or who knows. So, you know, I'm excited in the sense that, oh boy, more crack for my crack addiction, which I won't buy for like 2 years because I never buy AAA first off. I always wait till it's cheap.
Right.
And all the well, maybe not all the bugs, but the major bugs have been hammered out. The DLC goes cheaper and such. So,
I wonder how many games announced at E3 are going to be remasters, remakes, or like
A bunch.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's gotten bad to the point to where like there's rarely anything new announced at E3 anymore. It's just like, here's a game you played before, and they're like, yay!
Well, I mean, you know, video games are basically like Hollywood now. It's like, here's a rehash of a franchise that was better left untouched. Han Solo, and you're going to like it because that's all you're going to get, kind of thing. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I could go on. I'm just being a little cynical, but otherwise, do we have anything else to talk about before we get into the schnuzz?
Not that I can think of, no.
All right. Now, there's one more important message before we go on. Dr. Pepper.
Disgusting.
Would you like to be a pepper? I know I would like to be a pepper. If you'd like to be a pepper too, try Dr. Pepper.
Sounds refreshing.
Sugar water. Best thing for my veins. All right. So
did we do monkey dick? I don't want to get in trouble with chat.
I did.
Okay.
I did do that. It was just a minute ago. See, I remember these things.
I might be on a lot of my drugs.
Except for when you forget.
Oh, so monkey's high as a kite. That's great. So yes, our first story comes from our favorite CNN personality, Chris Cillizza. He has a blog take on the whole Roseanne Barr catastrophe of today. The headline pretty much says it all. ABC just took a moral stand on Roseanne. Spoiler alert, Donald Trump won't. It's obviously everything has to come back to Trump. All roads lead to Trump. Like there's a picture of Trump at the center of a corkboard, and there's red yarn coming from every possible, thing in the world, drawing right back to him. ABC's decision to cancel Roseanne Barr's eponymous show following a racist comment she made about former Obama administration official Valerie Jarrett on Twitter was shocking for two reasons. First, because it amounted to a TV network drawing a moral line in the sand, insisting that no amount of money or ratings gave Roseanne the right to express views that ABC described in a statement as, quote, abhorrent, repugnant, and inconsistent with our values. Second, because that decision to take a moral stand represents a stark contrast from the moral relativism preached by the President of the United States. Donald Trump, boy, Chris Cillizza is just working really hard. Really hard to bring it back to Trump. Thank you, Sanguine. I was about to say that games haven't done the female cast reboot, and then I remembered females in World War II frontline and probably not Russian army. Yeah. You know what this reminds me of?
What's that?
I had a teacher in high school, and this is going to obviously date me, not that I haven't already made myself sound old in several other instances. But for whatever reason, and I think I've told this story before, for whatever reason, she was obsessed at the time with the Oklahoma City bombing. And it was an English teacher. And so if I wrote a paper and in any way was able to bring it back around, whatever the subject was, to the Oklahoma City bombing, or use it as an analogy or something, instant A. Nice. Instant A. And this is what this reminds me of. It's like, okay, something happened in the world. How can we draw Donald Trump into this, even though he has nothing to do with it?
Oh man, it's like that comedian was saying. I think it was a comedian that was saying that, like, y'all complain about Trump, but you love him. Like, you love Trump. Every time he comes up, every time you get a chance to talk about it, you love him. You say you hate him, but he is the only thing keeping you afloat right now because you can't stop talking about him.
Let's see. So Donald Trump is different from anyone who has held the office before him in all sorts of ways. But, to my mind, the biggest and most critical difference between Trump and his predecessors is his total abdication of the concept of the president as a moral leader for the country and the world.
Oh, fuck off.
The examples of this sort of behavior are legion. And then we get 6 bullet points. What do any of these have to do with Roseanne? Not a single one.
Yeah, of course not. Anything to get that Trump dick in their mouth, they'll do it. They're just like,
I'm scrolling down to try to find, like, how does Trump? I mean, I think Trump and Roseanne have communicated in the past, right? But
she's a big fan of Trump. I don't remember if they've met or not, or if they've like back and forth on Twitter.
She was also like illegally like funding his campaign or some shit like that too, right? Or something like that. I don't know.
So let's see. I'm jumping down quite a bit past all the bullet points. Do whatever the hell you want to do as long as you win was Trump's implicit message during the 2016 campaign.
And he won.
Are you fucking kidding me? That's Hillary.
Even if it was, he won. So
his implicit message. So Chris Cillizza is now reading between the lines of a cookbook. Okay.
Yeah.
Who are these elites to judge you and your behavior? The world is a fight for survival. Might makes right. History is always written by the winners, and so on. All of which, and this is after the 6 or 7 bullet points I skipped, all of which brings me back to ABC's decision to fire Roseanne. I guess we have to come back to the point at some point, right? Chris Cillizza on your blog called The Point. There is little question that the comedian show was, by Trumpian measures, a success.
Fuck off.
Its ratings were sky high. So anything with its ratings sky high is a Trumpian success. Well, then I guess the wedding between Harry and Kate, or whatever, Harry and Michelle, whatever, was a Trumpian success.
All Trump's fault.
Now it's possible that this decision was motivated by advertisers' negative responses to the tweet. But as CNN reported just 2 weeks ago, Barr was the centerpiece of ABC's upfront presentation to advertisers in New York. ABC could have kept the show on the air, making the case that while they abhorred Barr's views, the show was about much more than her and was the launching point for lots of important societal conversations. That would have been all PR speak for, quote, the show rates extremely well and makes ABC lots of money, of course. But they could have gotten away with it. ABC executive chose not to go down that path. Instead, they chose to make a very clear and public statement that doing the right thing sometimes, often, always, matters more than making money. What if Trump's reaction to the Roseanne firing was simply an echo of the ABC statement? Something like, Roseanne's Twitter statement is abhorrent, repugnant, and inconsistent with American values, and I support ABC's decision to cancel her show. The chances of Trump doing that are beyond minuscule because of his total disdain for the idea of the presidency as a position of moral leadership.
But even if he did...
When does the president have to weigh in on the decisions of television studios?
Right. And even if he did, what would the headline say? Donald Trump is being a total hypocrite by pushing the views that he doesn't actually believe in.
Oh, no, what the headline would be, he comes out against Roseanne, but look at the racist stuff he said.
Right.
Yeah. Basically, this article is pretty much, Trump won't create any bait for us to talk about him anymore. That's what this article is.
I cannot understand why Chris Cillizza has this job. Not any job. I'm not, everybody should have a right to make a living and everything, but why Chris Cillizza has this job, why he gets paid money to do this, this entire article is someone didn't say something, so I'm going to rail against the moral incorrectness of them not saying what I think they would say if they said it.
Yeah. Well, that's because the people who are paying them under their standards, they're doing their jobs just fine.
Thank you, Gregory Hurst. This article sounds like it'll end with, and don't get me started on the Jews.
It kind of does.
Anyway, that's all I was going to read about that, but I just found that absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, the short version is Roseanne Barr tweeted something. I was struggling to find an actual screenshot of the tweet itself. I saw some little bit quotes. But...
Yeah, I've seen it. I remember it because I actually looked it up myself earlier. It says ISIS plus Planet of the Apes equals DJ for Valerie Jarrett.
What does she have against Valerie Jarrett? I don't know where this started.
She worked for
Muslims, right?
Huh?
Like the Muslim something or whatever. That's what it said. Not ISIS.
Oh, Muslim Brotherhood. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, wrong group. But yeah, them two. Valerie Jarrett just worked for. Okay, what happened is another story came out about how we're finding out shit that happened under the Obama administration that was kept kind of quiet when he was in there and it's kind of dirty. This time being, it turned out we were spying on French presidential candidates.
Okay.
And somebody said all of this stuff is coming out after them, and another person replied, Jarrett helped hide or something like that. And then that's when Roseanne tweeted. It was just taking a cheap shot at Valerie Jarrett because she worked for Obama and yeah, there was a lot of dirty shit going on there that the press didn't seem to have a problem with. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not as bad as if Obama hadn't have commented on a TV show, but I mean,
Well,
you know, meddling in a foreign election.
What is the thing I read said something about anti-Semitic. What did she say that was anti-Semitic?
Well, the fact that they saw the. Oh wait,
one at a time. One at a time. Satsu, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Monkey, because I think Monkey actually has an answer. I was just.
It's because she made comments about George Soros. She tweeted to Chelsea Clinton, called her Chelsea Soros Clinton, and then Clinton shot back that she's not married to any of the Soroses, and she appreciates the work they've done. And then Roseanne shot back. God, what was the exact? I don't remember the exact tweet. Basically pointing out what a shitty person Soros is and how the Clintons are connected to him. Some Jew stuff. I don't remember.
Okay, thank you.
She was on a roll.
Okay, thank you. Nope. So we did to France what Russia didn't do to us. Pretty much. Okay.
Look, the Russians were absolutely involved in our election, but they didn't meddle with it. They were doing what foreign powers do, and the same thing we do. But yes, absolutely.
So well, I'd have to see all that was posted or something because I'm struggling to see how.
Find that article.
Yeah, simply bringing up George Soros is anti-Semitic now.
Let me see if I can find the last one that I looked at. Yeah, it takes a while because that got deleted. And
okay, yeah, that was the problem, is that everybody was sort of like half quoting the little bits that I saw, so I couldn't tell what exactly the problem was.
Yeah.
But anyway, it just for myself, I don't care. I never watched Roseanne when it was on the air originally. I wasn't in the couple. I mean, well, I think I saw it once or twice, but I wasn't some kind of fan. I haven't watched it since it came back on the air. Roseanne Barr has been a non-factor in my life for most of it. I don't particularly care. I'm just kind of surprised that in one fell swoop, ABC dropped a show because one of its stars said something some people didn't like. Now, of course, if she said something that was like ridiculously, racist or something, PR-wise, I can understand it. I'm trying to figure out exactly what she said that was more horrible than anything else she's done, like doing that photo shoot where she was like dressed up as Hitler with cookies.
Yeah.
In the oven or whatever.
I sent you the story that's got the exact quote. It's Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes had a baby equals BJ. Do they have the... I don't know if this one has the... Oh, yeah, there's the Soros one later on in the bottom.
Okay. Let's see. At the bottom, you said?
Yeah, if you scroll down, you get her one there.
Oh, correction. Chelsea Clinton is not married to a Soros member. Her husband is the son of a corrupt senator. So sorry. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, she accused George Soros. There's another one that I don't know why they don't have it listed there, but where she accused George Soros of being a Nazi collaborator. She said he turned in Jews to the Nazis. I don't get where the anti-Semitism part came out of any of this, but that's where apparently it's drawing from because he's Jewish.
Is that Monkey or is that me?
I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay, that must be me then. Okay, do I sound all right?
Yeah, you sound fine.
Okay, because Monkey was like all skipping and tripping all over the place there for a second. Okay, well, anyway,
I do want to touch on this story though, because there's a couple of things that need cleared up. I see a lot of people out there retweeting that Valerie Jarrett isn't even black. Yes, she is. Don't repeat that shit you read online. Go look it up yourself. Her dad's actually kind of famous. I forget his name, but it's not like her mom and dad are Bob and Marge. Her dad was a physician, and he became one of the first the first black resident at a Chicago hospital. I forget which one. He absolutely is black. She is black, guys. But a much bigger point to this story. This was a stupid joke, and I don't think it should cost everybody involved in the show their jobs. Yeah. But it's also still ABC's decision to make, so I don't begrudge them that. I think it's stupid. I wouldn't have done it. But
I just feel sorry for all the people involved that aren't her. Because like all those people, that's a whole cast of people who was like, yes, we got a job coming up and something to do. And it's like, no, you don't.
Well, not even the cast, but all the people behind the scenes, all the script writers and all the cameramen and all the, the set, everybody. That's like, 50, 60 people probably just out of work all of a sudden because Roseanne says something. And again, yeah, it's ABC's decision. It's their money. I don't particularly care because it's just a TV show I never watched, and it's celebrities who. It's not like Roseanne needs the money. The people that work behind the scenes and everything are out of luck. But I don't know. I guess the lesson is if you're a celebrity, never use Twitter.
Well, here's the problem. I've never thought Roseanne was that funny. I never got the appeal, even going back to her old show.
Right.
But this idea that a comedian said something outrageous and everybody losing their fucking minds. I'm like, what do you think these people's job is?
See, here's the problem. It's one thing if you're employed by Disney, I think you have to accept that you're going to have to play it a little softer than you might otherwise. And ABC is Disney, and there you go. I don't know. Like I say, it's ABC's decision. So
right. And when it comes to the firing part and canceling the show, I don't have a problem with it. I'm talking about everybody who's outraged online over this.
Oh, okay. All right.
So many people are outraged. And one, let's point this out. Valerie Jarrett absolutely looks like Ari from Planet of the Apes. She does. And look at her and look at the two together. There's a bunch of pictures of them. She looks like Ari in her 60s, maybe. And that's not an insult because that's one hot looking ape. I'm not going to lie.
Midgets and monkeys. That's what Monkey likes.
Well, it's Tim Burton's wife played her. The hell's her name?
What?
The monkey I'm talking about. Is it Tim Burton's wife? Who's the chick who played Bellatrix Lestrange?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh my God, she's in all of Tim Burton's movies. Somebody help me out here.
Are you talking?
Helena Bowman Carter.
Okay. I didn't know any of those character names you're talking about. I'm like, what?
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's from Planet of the Tim Burton remake of Planet of the Apes.
Hey, there's a reason I never saw that.
Oh, see, as soon as I read that tweet, I'm like, yeah, she kind of does look like her.
Okay.
But when Roseanne came out with her apology, she didn't go, guys, she looks like her. No, she went, I apologize, which makes me think she was probably making a monkey joke.
Yeah.
So it was absolute. I believe she was being racist. I think she was joking being racist, but it's still being racist. However, ABC, I have no problem with them firing, but everybody else who's losing their shit because it's so horrible. She's a comedian. It's kind of what they do. Not all of them. Sure,
it's Roseanne for all things. I mean, setting aside anything else, is this anything beyond anything else she's done in her entire career? I mean, I doubt people who are outraged now even remember how quote unquote outrageous she was back in the 80s and 90s, for fuck's sake. I mean, this isn't, who cares? I mean, okay, she lost her job. Roseanne's not hurting for money. I'd be surprised. She's already gotten paid for that first season that she did for of the reboot. So she's fine.
Did you guys see all the pictures? Because for a long time since Sons of Anarchy came out, everybody was saying that one dude, damn, I forgot his name already. Yeah, but he looks just like a fucking gorilla.
He does
exactly.
He always has. He's always. Yeah, and when he played Beast in Beauty and the Beast, he looked like an animal because. So, what is it? Wait, I must have missed something. What does Ron Perlman have to do with this?
Because he looks like a monkey.
Yeah, and people have been saying that for a long time, but because he's white, it's not racist, I guess.
Probably, I suppose. I don't know. It's just more manufactured drama over something. It's like there's more important things going on in the world today, I would hope. But no, this is what takes up all the space.
The president needs to talk about this, damn it.
Oh my God, that is that outrages me more than anything Roseanne has to say. Is that oh God, the president hasn't said anything about this personnel decision at a TV station. So oh no.
Well, I mean, if he spent all of his time commenting on the shit that they bitch that he doesn't comment on, then they would be bitching about the fact that he does more commenting on bullshit instead of being a president.
I can't.
Which he does anyway.
I can't count how many stories we've read of CNN or other people complaining when Trump hasn't done something.
Yeah.
And I'm not even like hasn't done something legislatively or governmentally, or they just hasn't said something about whatever they think he should be talking about. He's been silent on this issue, like, and
or when he didn't say something and they wanted him to, they wrote a story about what if he did, or what he would probably say in this situation.
Yeah. Anyway,
obsession.
Speculation aside about political figures, let's talk about something that actually happened with a political figure that actually said something substantive. Right there. Embattled Missouri Governor Eric Greitens resigns amid scandals.
Uh-oh.
Took a while, but he did finally do it. Excuse me. Embattled Missouri Governor Eric Greitens announced on Tuesday he will resign over the scandals that have dominated his tenure. The Republican governor has been embroiled in controversy after facing accusations of sexual misconduct and misusing a charity donor list. In recent months, Greitens has been indicted on a felony computer tampering charge related to the donor list and on a felony invasion of privacy charge, though that charge was dropped earlier this month. In a statement released shortly after Greitens announced his resignation, St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kimberly Gardner said, quote, a fair and just resolution, unquote, of pending charges against the governor has been reached and that additional information regarding the resolution would be released on Wednesday. Greitens did not admit to legal wrongdoing during a press conference where he announced his resignation, saying that while he is, quote, not perfect, he has, quote, not broken any laws nor committed any offense worthy of this treatment. Greitens indicated, though, that the scrutiny he faces has become too intense to continue on as the governor. So there you go. I was actually kind of surprised it took this long for him to step down, given how rabid it seemed to be going there for a while.
Yeah. Maybe he was hoping to ride out the storm.
Probably seeing if he could get a deal, just like, step down gracefully kind of thing. I don't know anything about the guy, really. I don't live in Missouri, but
right.
Kind of interesting that it took that long, especially these days with like as soon as there's a charge of sexual harassment or some misconduct or something, pretty much out the door.
I have one about a politician.
Okay.
Porn leads to school shootings, GOP congresswoman says.
Oh, okay. You stole that one from me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you can do it, but
go ahead.
This amused me. Does anyone know what kind of porn Representative Diane Black is watching? Whatever it is, the 67-year-old Black, by the way, that's her name, guys. When I read that first time,
67-year-old Black.
The 67-year-old Black, who is running for governor of Tennessee, said it's a big part of what's driving the spike in school shootings. During a meeting last week with local pastors, Black raised the issue of gun violence in schools and why it keeps happening. Pornography, she said. It's available on the shelf when you walk into the grocery store.
No, it's not.
Yeah, you have to reach up to get it, but there's pornography there, she continued. All of this available without parental guidance. I think it's a big part of the root cause. Black didn't clarify. Oh, and by the way, I'll put this in the chat, guys, because you can actually listen to her say this. She's not taken out of context or anything. They have an audio clip. Black didn't clarify what it is about porn that she thinks is leading to school massacres. Her congressional spokesman did not respond to a request for comment. I'm shocked. Beyond naughty movies, Black said school shootings are on the rise because of the deterioration of the family, mental illness, and violent movies.
Violent boobies?
Movies.
Oh,
I need to enunciate better.
Oh, I thought it was the boobies causing school shootings.
That's fascinating.
Thank you, P-Dog Knight. If that were true, there would be no more schools. Probably.
Who the fuck in this day and age goes to, there's porn on the shelves at supermarkets?
Unless you're so like puritanical that Cosmo is porn.
I guess.
No, she just grocery shops at the sex store on the side of the freeway.
Like, I have to go get my supply of edible underwear.
Has she never heard of the internet?
The
I don't
internet
know.
is for porn. Oh.
Which is much more accessible than the fucking grocery store, mind you.
I just love that it's available without parental guidance. If your parents shouldn't be guiding you on porn.
It's like, now, son, Stormy's going to do this now.
If anything, especially considering they're pushing the narrative that most of the shooters are white male incels, I believe it was porn that stopped them from shooting up the school a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like porn has been fucking prolonging the inevitable.
We have a suddenly breaking exclusive report from CNN.
Oh boy. What possibly happened?
U.S. funded police linked to illegal executions in El Salvador.
Oh.
I don't know. The United States has quietly funded and equipped elite paramilitary police officers in El Salvador who are accused of illegally executing gang members, CNN has learned. Successive U.S. administrations have pumped tens of millions of dollars into Salvadoran law enforcement and military to shore up the government's Mano Dura, or Firm Hand program, first launched in 2003 but redoubled in 2014 to tackle the country's rampant gang problem. Yet the country's police will be broadly accused next month. Well, doesn't that makes my brain go syntax error. They're going to be accused next month. Like, well, then they are accused right now, aren't they?
You would think.
Anyway, yet the country's police will be broadly accused next month of, quote, a pattern of behavior by security personnel amounting to extrajudicial executions. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. In a United Nations report seen in advance by CNN that will also call on Salvadoran security forces to break a, quote, cycle of impunity in which killings are rarely punished. One police unit that killed 43 alleged gang members in the first 6 months of last year received significant U.S. funding. Several of those deaths have been investigated as murders by Salvadoran police. While the unit, known as the Special Reaction Forces, was disbanded earlier this year, many of its officers have joined a new elite force that currently receives U.S. funding. This goes on for another several pages, but that's interesting, I guess.
Yeah, it's a weird way to blame us for what's happening there.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're getting money from us, but I'm going to need to see a document that that's what it's for.
And it's been going on since 2003, so this isn't just a Trump thing, which I was kind of looking at like, oh, okay. I was wondering if it was going to be like, and Donald Trump's been funding this forever.
George says it's like those gang members are really bad or something. Look, I see what you're saying, but even gangs like MS-13, man, I still believe in due process. You can't just shoot them. As much as I like things like The Punisher and the show Dexter, vigilantism is only good in fiction.
Yes. Anyway, that's all the stories that I had pulled up, and that one was just a sort of a latecomer. So, you guys know of anything else popping, or shall we move on?
I swear there was something else, but keep going.
No, I know there's a lot's going on, little bits and pieces. I'm sure that our audience will fill in the blanks. So, guys, if you have news stories you'd like us to read on the air, please send them to us via Twitter using the hashtag MSSNews. Can't promise we'll get to them all, but we will look at as many as we have time for. And I'm going to scroll down. Lots of people sent us the Roseanne story, so thank you so much. What do we have here? Here we go. This comes from Massive Dynamics. I think we talked about this last night. If it will come up now. Yes, I want to continue to the article. You're not going to preclude me from reading your story now, are you? Okay, go away. As Solo, a Star Wars story, flops, are movies about white men box office poison?
We just had Infinity Wars and Deadpool. Really?
Thank you, Point Curation. Free Tommy. Oh, yeah, Tommy Robinson. We'll probably talk about that somewhere in here, too. I won't read this whole thing, and I want that preview to stop playing in my ear. Thank you. Solo, a Star Wars story, may struggle to pass the $248 million opening weekend of The Force Awakens, and maybe, if things go south, the 220 debut frame of The Last Jedi. Debut frame. Okay. If it had cost less, I have no idea how much research added to the budget, but I can't imagine they intended to make a $250 million plus Han Solo prequel. Or, well, here's the thing, guys. They made the movie twice. Okay. This movie is so overbloated in cost, it would take a miracle for them to make back the money they spent on it after Mark everything else, because they made it once, they scrapped it, they hired Ron Howard, they made it again. So Han Solo is, I'll be amazed if they ever release the actual cost behind it. It's ridiculous, trust me. Plenty of big movies earned over. I don't care about that. Let's get on to the point of this. It is ironic that the first failure of the new Star Wars era is the one with a white guy in the starring role. Aha. Moreover, Solo, a Star Wars story, tanked harder overseas than in North America. We are comedically past the point where anyone should still believe the conventional wisdom about minority-led movies or female-led movies struggling overseas. Okay. Have any of those movies you're talking about not been attached to ridiculously popular franchises like Marvel or Star Wars? By any chance? While I'm not going to argue that overseas audiences are drawn to big movies starring women and minorities more than standard white guy, he's the special hero's journeys, they sure don't seem to find them repelling either.
What the fuck is this guy trying to say?
I don't know, but he just argued against his own potential point here. So I don't care. Okay.
I saw somebody on Twitter make this argument, I think yesterday, where they listed all of the different Star Wars sequels that have come out and where they're trending. And they said, you know, obviously it's the women are going to run this thing. That's what people want to see. I'm like, no, it's those other movies have severely lowered expectations in combination with a lot of us not even really wanting to know Han's backstory. And then all the production and that trailer was shit. It was trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not white guys in movies. And
it's the anticipation of them fucking up yet another character in the franchise that's repelling people, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, just like Monkey said, you just watch that trailer. Anybody who's been a Star Wars fan for any amount of time, you watch that trailer, and not only one does it not, at least in my opinion, let me just preface that. In my opinion, it did nothing to draw me into wanting to see the film first and foremost. And secondly, if you're going to do a movie called Solo, you have to have a pitch perfect Han Solo, and he wasn't there. And if there's one thing I've heard consistently from everyone who's seen it that I trust or whose opinion that I respect, it's that isn't Han Solo. And if you can't get Han Solo into your Solo movie, don't make the movie. Leave well enough alone. I don't understand. I was saying to somebody on Twitter today, I was like, just take the franchise elsewhere than callbacks and nostalgia, because all you're doing is milking something and fucking it up along the way. That's all it is. Thank you, Sanguine. No one wanted Han to get the Anakin treatment.
Yep.
Exactly. And that's what they're doing. They're ruining these characters, or at least, I mean, you can just mentally sort of ignore that this movie exists. I'm kind of doing that by not going to see it. I don't care to have told to me the origin of Han Solo through the eyes of Ron Howard. I don't care. Leaving Han Solo's origin mostly up to conjecture or little bits and pieces of expanded universe stuff was fine with me. But they're going to keep doing this. I mean, we're going to have Boba Fett, the movie, here pretty soon. You know, we're going to have Obi-Wan, the midquel, where he's on Tatooine, and, you know, and Ewan McGregor's going to get some more work. It's
Well, to me, it just sounds like an elaborate excuse to try to avert any attention away from the person who made it. Because they're like, there's no way in any way the writers or the people who are responsible for this movie are at fault. So let's hurry up and come up with a narrative that we can blame this movie flopping on. So that way people can latch on to that. and we can get the conversation going about that. It's basically what Ghostbusters did, where they're like, we know this movie's going to be shit. We know the people didn't put that much effort into it, and they're shitting on the fan base. So we need to create a narrative that'll keep everybody busy bitching about while we can pump up this movie behind the scenes. So they're just like, sexist people hate it. That's why it's going to do bad.
Yeah, it can't be that the final product sucks. It must be the people that are choosing not to watch it that have the problem.
Oh yeah, they're preemptively trying to create a narrative here.
Thank you, P-Dog Knight. 3 words: pansexual Lando Calrissian. Everything that I've heard about Donald Glover in that movie has been he was fine. I don't know anything about the whole pansexual thing. If you want like the properly constructed pansexual, you want Captain Jack Harkness from Doctor Who, because at least that was an original character that from the beginning was structured that way, and it made it a really fun character because he was hitting on everything in the universe, and that was part of the joke. Lando wasn't doing that in the other movies, so it doesn't make any sense to insert it in the backwards.
And it kind of ruins his character because he was suave when he met Leia. He was like, "Hey, baby." He didn't take that tone with anyone else.
Yeah.
And there was no hint of anyway. I do think there is a point there though. For some people that might have been a turnoff. And what's really hurting them, because this movie could have still done very well, but the word of mouth is not there because the people who are seeing it at best are like, meh.
Let's see. Moving on. This one comes from New Fate 26. All right. CNN blasts back. I love all these like clap back and blast back and backdraft. And anyway, CNN blasts back at Morgan Freeman's disappointing demand for story retraction. Okay. CNN is not retracting its story, accusing Morgan Freeman of sexual harassment. The Shawshank Redemption star's lawyers would like Jeff Zucker to do. This story comes from Anyway. The unfound, quote, the unfound made by Mr. Freeman's lawyer are disappointing and are difficult to reconcile with Mr. Freeman's own public statements in the aftermath of the story, a CNN rep tells the Wrap. Exactly. Do not make open-ended apologies for stuff that you are opposing the factual accuracy of. Just a tip. I mean, just a PR tip. And a legal one, too. Quote, CNN stands by its reporting and will respond forcefully to any attempt by Mr. Freeman or his representatives to intimidate us from covering this important public issue. Oh, God. A CNN writer tells the Wrap that the platform will have a formal legal response to the letter in the next 24 to 48 hours. These things just take time to properly put together. Quote, it is clear that CNN has defamed Mr. Freeman, with the most damning paragraphs reads in the lawyer's letter. CNN has inflicted serious injury on his reputation and career. At a minimum, CNN immediately needs to issue a retraction and apologize to Mr. Freeman through the same channels and with the same level of attention that it used to unjustly attack him. Well, Morgan Freeman opened the door. He kicked the door wide open by apologizing in broad terms to anything he may have done, his behavior, etc. So
sorry.
It's difficult for CNN not to latch on that because it was a self-forced error.
Oh, yeah. He pretty much dug his own grave in that one.
Yep. He pissed me off today. He tweeted out a petition. Sorry, guys. I popped a Valium. My brain's not here anymore. I was about to say he popped a Valium. Jesus Christ. He tweeted out a petition to have Valve not accept the game School Shooter.
All right.
The one we talked about yesterday. For those of you who don't know, it's the Counter-Strike type game where you can play as either the police, one of the hostages, in this case, a student, or the school shooter himself.
Who posted this petition?
Morgan Freeman.
Oh, Morgan Freeman did. Okay, all right.
Yeah. I don't know if he made it, but he retweeted the thing and asked people to go sign it. And it got me to thinking, because the whole thing, can't play school shooters. I'm like, there have been movies made about school shooters, and somebody had to play them in the movie. I don't remember Morgan Freeman asking, studios not to do that. I don't understand why some mediums it's okay to basically, have school shooters there. But in a video game where you're literally talking about pixels, for some reason, that's where we have to start like banning things.
Yeah, it's all about convenience, whatever you want to go against, because him going against that could,
Oh, I apologize. Peterbilt just says it's not the actor. It's in his Twitter bio. My mistake. Still somebody named Morgan Freeman. It was verified. Damn it.
Oh, Morgan J. Freeman? Yeah, that's a different person.
Okay. Anyway, same question applies though. I don't understand, because in my follow-ups, because I argued with other people about this, I mentioned in books and movies, we always have just horrible people portrayed, and nobody has a problem with it. There's never, you can't act like that person. I don't get it.
Let's see. This one comes from Shady Grin. Not quite sure what this means. California mayor to offer $1,000 per month stipend to, quote, those most likely to shoot somebody, unquote.
Do what?
What?
I don't know. Sometimes you just need to think outside of the box. That's apparently the key to success in Stockton, California, where their young mayor, Michael Tubbs, has some interesting plans to turn things around for the citizens of his community. One idea, which we've seen before in Europe on occasion, without much success, is a guaranteed basic income for some of his residents. Nothing to retire on, mind you, just $500 per month to keep the basics covered. But Stockton has other problems, including some gang violence issues. How do you deal with that successfully when so many larger cities have failed? When so many larger cities have failed, by taking the same approach. Tubbs wants to identify the people most likely to shoot someone and pay them $1,000 a month not to.
Oh, if this goes through, y'all, I'm going to shoot someone.
Well, I'm not going to shoot someone, but I'm going to become very likely to.
I was winking.
Oh, I saw you. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. Stockton is about to award stipends of up to $1,000 a month to residents deemed most likely to shoot somebody. This program is called Advance Peace, and it's been modeled after a crime reduction program in the Bay Area city of Richmond. You see, the theory here is that only a small number of people are responsible for a large portion of the violence in the community. They would be the really hardcore gangbangers who are most prone to see violence as a solution. If you can get them to stop shooting people, a big chunk of your gun violence problem goes away. At this point, you're probably thinking to yourself, holy cow, how did nobody else think of this already?
No, that's not what I'm thinking.
I know. But examining the idea a bit further, you might begin to wonder whether or not this might be seen as some sort of reward program for violent felons. Never you fear. Mayor Tubbs wants you to know that it's nothing of the kind. And thank you, Sanguine. Why do I feel like this is the Dems' way of saying the police are getting a raise? Let's see. So, quote, let me be clear. Advance Peace is not a get-out-of-jail-free card, Tubbs wrote in explaining the program on Stockton's public safety website. Quote, participating in this program doesn't erase the past, but it does help these young men learn how to make better choices for their own and our community's collective future, unquote.
Or it gives them money to buy guns.
Right.
That I'm going to pay you to stop shooting people. Thank you, Gregory Hurst. $1,000 for a gangbang deal.
Somebody said it up top. This sounds more like racketeering.
That's ridiculous.
Not racketeering. Payoffs. Protection racket. That's the word they use.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah. It's like, here, I won't smash up your shop if you give me $500 a month. Okay. Except it's a self-imposed protection racket.
Yes.
It's not like somebody's knocking on your door with a baseball bat and saying, give me money or I'm going to beat you up. It's, hey, I'm going to give you money ahead of time so you don't beat up other people, okay?
Yeah, please don't shoot me. Here's $1,000.
What happens when the money runs out?
Yes. Is Stockton, California just swimming in extra cash? How many gangbangers are we talking about? I mean, how do you identify these guys? Do you look up their criminal record and say, hey, you've killed a bunch of people, want $1,000 a month? What the fuck? Nope, thank you. So a gun buyback without the gun buyback. Not even that. It's
gun welfare.
Yeah, it's violence welfare. If you are a violent offender, if you have a record of or suspicion of being involved in heinous crimes, you will be rewarded for your past transgressions. So
or
do them
possible future transgressions.
Right. That's so ridiculous.
Man, it's like, is it me or is this that Negro going to shoot somebody? Give him some money.
Think about this from like a homeless person's perspective who's living on the street and ain't got no money and can't find no way to figure. Like, okay, well, I want to get some money. They're giving it to these fuckers for free. So let me fucking do something violent so that way I can get put on this list and I can get some money.
Yeah, rewarding bad behavior. It's like, I've said this before. Redemption is always far more celebrated than consistency.
Yeah.
Someone who was a drug dealer and then becomes a rap star always has a more cachet for having turned a new leaf and all that than somebody who's never done anything wrong before. But this isn't about redemption. This is about, hey, you've done horrible things and we suspect you'll do more horrible things. Please stop. Here's some money. That's ridiculous.
Well,
anyway.
Going to Satsu's point with the homeless people, what kind of person their first, we should pay off violent thugs rather than giving that money to the homeless.
Yeah.
God,
am I roboting again? Because they're saying I'm roboting.
You were a little tiny bit. It wasn't horrible.
Okay. I can't help it, guys. I don't know. My internet's my internet. It's not. I'm not hitting a robot button. I'm going to end with this one because this reminds me of somebody in particular, and it's not a happy story, but it's still, Bear researcher who landed dream job is mauled by a grizzly. So Grizzly Man lives on after a fashion. Yeah. A government wildlife worker who recently landed her dream job researching grizzly bears in a Montana mountain range is recovering, thankfully, from a bear attack that left her with a fractured skull and other serious injuries. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service seasonal field assistant Amber Cornack was attacked on May 17th while working alone near a stream in the Cabinet Mountains, agency spokeswoman Jennifer Strickland said. While being mauled, the 28-year-old Cornack managed to reach a canister of mace-like bear spray and ended the attack, inadvertently spraying herself in the process. She then walked to her work vehicle and drove to find help. Working with grizzlies has been a long-standing career goal for Cornack, who is recovering at a hospital in Kalispell following surgery for the skull injury and from severe cuts to her head, neck, and back. Quote, she's obviously passionate about all wildlife, but her dream and her primary focus was to work with grizzly bears. Last I spoke with her was yesterday, and she's making great strides, but it's going to be a long recovery. Don't study grizzly bears alone, I guess. Maybe the lesson there.
And definitely make sure you're well away from them. Bears are, they look cute on TV. They are fucking monsters, man.
Yeah, they are heartless animals. Even the quote unquote domesticated ones don't necessarily understand the difference between a love bite and a killing blow. It just.
Or as a pimp named Slickback would have said, "Bitch, don't be sorry, be careful."
You ever seen a bear's claws, man?
Oh yeah, it's the size of your head. But the paw itself is like as big as your face, if not bigger. Yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for the stories. If we run out of deep topic stuff, maybe we'll do a couple more, but now we'll move on. Okay.
But before you move on, I do want to say, even though I laughed, I am glad she's okay and gonna be, but that's Darwinism is what that is.
So YouTube time. Satsu, what have you been up to?
Same old. Uploaded those videos. And actually, behind the scenes, I've actually been working on some commentary for 2 Cents Plus to do like talk about game related topics. And usually I would do that on Satsu 2 Cents, but at this point, since this channel's starting to come together, I feel like that type of stuff should be designated for 2 Cents Plus. So today I did about 3 or 4 scripts on some topics that I wanted to talk about that were in the list of for Satsu 2 Cents, but they're going to be showing up on 2 Cents Plus. So if you aren't subscribed yet and you do like my commentary, which, I mean, if you're subscribed to my main channel, you probably do. Some of that is going to be showing up over there, but it's going to be game related. So be on the lookout for that. At least one of those videos should be coming out tomorrow. And there's also a topic that I will be covering tomorrow on Satsu 2 Cents. I just had to shift some things around or whatever. So there was no upload today, but I did do a lot of editing, and the 2 new episodes for the gaming videos are out as usual. So there you go.
Cool. I didn't do anything today. I had a busy day at work after the holidays, so I looked at a couple of videos. Someone sent me a TED Talk of 2 high school girls talking about racial literacy. And it's one of those things that I might do a video on, except I'm averse to doing videos that feature like kids or high schoolers or things like that, because it's difficult for me to criticize someone who hasn't quite fully formed in their brain yet. So like somebody that's like not even past 25, I kind of go, eh. And if they're not an expert in something, or at least a leader of authority of some note, I kind of wave off that. But listening to the talk, it was in line with the video I did last week or whatever on the lady talking about books she recommended that she hadn't read, but because the author was not white, here's a recommendation kind of thing. Thank you, Seal77. Satsu changed the battery in the smoke alarm.
I mean,
I don't hear it. Whenever.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and I just can't walk over into my neighbor's house and be like, "Hey, excuse me, I'm just gonna take care of this for you." Like, it's not in my apartment. I can't do anything about it.
Tape a 9-volt to their door.
Here you go. You're welcome. My chat thanks you.
Otherwise, I didn't do anything today. Monkey, what have you been up to?
I slept a lot, and then I took a Valium.
All right. I thought you were working on a video.
It's not called Valium anymore.
Oh, what's it called?
I don't know.
Monkey's popping mystery pills. Oh shit.
No, it's hang on. Where'd that bottle go? That ain't it. Nah, fuck if I know. It's not called Valium anymore, I know that.
Okay. Well, with that, internet fucketry.
Oh, we got
right
some
now,
fucketry.
Monkey medicinal fucketry right now.
Oh, dude, I'm fucked up. Man.
Sound like
I know I have fucketry. I was wrong. I have a deep topic.
Oh, well, I do too, but what?
Well, hold on. If you don't have any fucketry, it's always fun to talk about Dusty during the fucketry time. And today's professional Dusty declaration was that SJW is a pointless term only used by stupid anti-SJWs.
Diazepam.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Anyway,
yeah.
I apologize.
You okay, Monkey?
Satsu, I love you.
Oh God.
Monkey.
Yeah.
Do you need some time?
Nah, man, I'm good. I'm good.
We're gonna have to fucking do what we do to Weibo to Monkey now.
Man, Valium is nice.
Anyway, like I was saying, Dusty pretty much said, oh, Baron got his channel back too, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna fucketry.
Okay. But yeah, he's saying that SJW is a pointless term. It's just thrown at people who anti-SJWs disagree with. And the fact that he is being called an SJW right now, he doesn't care about, because, you know, he's too big for that. And I told him, like, pretty much the past 3 days, literally every post you've put up has been either shit talking or talking about anti-SJWs. But if your statement is SJW is a pointless term, then shouldn't anti-SJW be also? And he didn't respond naturally, but
thank you, Timothy Seelbeck. Barry got his channel back. Yep. And thank you, W.R. Costin. Released a new video today discussing how Canada's outdoors are heterosexual white spaces. So Scribe, Monkey, come camping in Canada. Canada's outdoors.
Like,
now,
just literally outside in general.
Yeah, thank you, Gregory Hurst. One pill makes you larger, one pill makes you small.
I was going to talk about what Satsu said. Oh, the SJW thing. When it applies to Dusty, I think it definitely applies, or when it's labeled to him. But there is a point to the notion that anti-SJWs will label anything they disagree with as SJW.
Oh yeah, and I, you know, it's the same thing with literally anybody over there calling whoever they disagree with whatever. But it was just like, Dusty, stop it.
Yes,
like
Dusty's an idiot.
You have officially blossomed into an SJW, and you don't like that people are calling you that. So you're trying to say that the term means nothing and it doesn't affect you, but you're actually annoyed that people keep calling you an SJW. Like you're transparent, dude.
Didn't he basically come out upset that they wouldn't let him be their leader?
I mean, he essentially bitched that he wasn't getting the support from them that he thought he deserved as a as a new respectable member of the SJW, not SJW group. But you know, Dusty's gonna Dusty. It's he's always and I like. There was at some point in time where he was just getting to the point where I got sick of seeing him in my mentions, and I'm like, I'm just gonna mute him. But then I'm just like, it's so funny, man. Every day I get this little gem of stupidity. Oh, and Onision's trying to become relevant again.
Oh, did you see his video?
I didn't watch it because I just can't stand his voice anymore. But yeah, he's trying to pick fights with literally anybody he can. Like he's gotten to the point to where he was calling specific people out to try to get their attention, but they're like, we're not taking the bait, dude. Fuck off. So he did like a live stream to try to like call anybody who's ever said anything bad about me, come and argue with me about it.
Yeah.
And they're just like, nope, not gonna do it. And you're like, what are you, cowards? And they're like, no, we're just not playing this game right now.
He released a video on what is it? What's the name of the channel? It starts with O.
Bro, or some shit like
that.
Yeah,
bro, that's it. Where he's bitching that apparently there's some new controversy with him rating a child again. I haven't seen any of this. I don't know what the hell he was talking about. But he spends like the first, I don't know, 10 minutes of the video or so whining about that and whining about how he doesn't know what people want him to do. He's apologized for everything bad he's done. And I almost commented, but I don't want to get into it. But let me help you out if you're listening, Greg. And you're so desperate you might actually be at this point. It's not any one thing you've done wrong. It's the fact that you keep having to apologize. And there's only so many times that you can fuck up before people are just like, you know what, I'm done with you. It's much the same as it is with anybody who tries to treat an addict. You know, they'll come back from their first rehab stint and they're like, I'm better. And you're supportive of them. And then they relapse and they just keep doing it till you're just like, you know what, I'm washing my hands of you. And that's where he is right now. Desperate for, you know, the people to give him another chance. And you've made that bed, dude.
It would be helpful for him as a creator to just, instead of trying to continue his fuckery of getting famous or being famous or having people watch his content because his ability to start bullshit with people, he should just start doing content that he enjoys doing and just allow people to fucking like get, because The people who really, really cared about you and your content are slowly going to come back and be like, okay, you're done with this bullshit. All right, cool. I'll start watching you again. And then you're going to have new people come in. But like,
I don't think that's true with him.
Well, it might be because like I still talk to people who are like, Onision who? You know what I mean? But it's just like, just start fucking doing what you want to do on your channel. Like do something entertaining. Let go of the drama and the bullshit. There are gonna be people who forsake you, and your channel's never gonna be what it used to be. But at the very least, save face by letting go of the bullshit and just trying to do something constructive with your fucking channel, because that's all he got left.
To me, I mean, at this point, he almost reminds me of MC Hammer. Stay with me here. I actually have a real point. It's not the drugs talking, guys. When MC Hammer was really big, you know, he was a clean cut. He was the pastor, because that's what he used to do. And then his career just failed. And then he tried to make a comeback as just Hammer, and he was all gangstified. And it just fell flat because it was obvious he was just trying to latch on to something to become relevant again. And we've seen this with Onision. If you actually watch his stuff, and yes, I admit I've seen some, he's tried recapturing what made him famous, which was really stupid juvenile stuff. I would describe it as retarded jackass. Like there's the video of him humping his driveway or pouring shit all over his body, which earlier in YouTube, that was something that people, oh, look how funny. But those people have grown up, and Greg hasn't, and he's still desperately trying to get that back. And he's tried doing the same stuff he used to do. It just doesn't work.
Well, the thing though is that it's not that stuff that people end up saying fuck him for, because no matter how long he ends up, you know, getting back to that and doing that or whatever, you'll see his viewership starts to go back up, and he starts to get like kind of a plateau going again. It's until he starts fucking with other people again and talking shit about other YouTubers, and that's when he starts to tank again. But what'll happen is he'll get that spike right after he does it, and he'll be like, yeah, I got that little boost I needed. And then immediately people will be like, I'm sick of your shit, and you're starting it again, and they'll disappear again. So, I mean, if he stuck to that, I think he'd be fine. But the fact that he keeps falling back on controversy to try to make himself relevant again, people don't want to deal with that shit. Particularly younger people, too, because they watch for that goofy, dumb shit. But to be honest, kids aren't really interested in that controversial shit that we are. You know what I mean? Like, they don't want to see people arguing and saying really bad shit about each other. For the most part, like most little kids that like to watch that goofy shit.
They don't. I would disagree slightly, because they love like Jake and Logan Paul and Rice Gum and that kind of silly shit. But that's Onision. That's not his strength. The banana video is the one that made him basically famous, and I just don't think that plays to any audience anymore, really.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it didn't, then YouTube wouldn't have got in trouble for those fucking Spider-Man and Elsa videos. Because those were fucking, we're talking, every video was 5 million plus views.
Well, sure, but those were based on exploiting the algorithm. The reason those did so well isn't because people really loved them, is because they had Elsa and Spider-Man in the description, and kids' videos generally outperform everybody on YouTube, so they were getting popped up there. If he did that, yeah, he could probably make a small comeback from it. I think what made him famous is over on YouTube, and he hasn't realized that, and he doesn't have anything else to offer right now except for rage about that. I mean, he's been doing this now for easily 6 months, bitching about how people stopped watching him. Like, well, stop bitching about people not watching, and like you said, make content, whether good, bad, or indifferent. You're gonna have a better chance getting an audience that way than bitching about how you're wronged because your audience won't watch you anymore.
Yeah, people looking through your feed, their last 6 videos are nothing but people aren't watching them. Yet people are watching you bitch about not watching them. You could have been filling those slots with actual fucking content.
The best Onision video, if you guys haven't seen it, it's actually a 2-parter, but it wasn't meant to be. There's a video where he's mocking people for not getting views anymore. I want to say Leafy was one of them. A couple of people who had blown up like that. And then his very next video is him bitching about how his views have fallen.
Yeah.
They're like, that's so beautiful. Made me laugh. I enjoyed it.
But yeah, that's the pretty standard internet fuckery. Nothing too serious.
Okay. I couldn't care less about Onision.
I don't blame you.
I can't even. It was a novelty. I didn't even know the guy existed until I think it was was it a Teal Deer episode or something that profiled him, because there's so many YouTube celebrities out there that I have absolutely no knowledge of until somebody tells me about them. Like, oh, this person's this, and they've got 17 million subscribers. Like, oh, okay, whatever.
I am interested in him only in, I think it's a fascinating psychological case. It's one of those cases where somebody made it very big on YouTube, and they got that taste of fame. And it's almost like child actors. You just get to watch in real time as he's falling apart. And I don't hope anything bad happens to him, honestly, but it is interesting to watch as a psychological profile.
Sure. I mean, I could say something similar about like Dark Side Phil, but it's more like, I don't know how much of a psychological thing is it. It's just a sort of someone who, for a brief time, had lightning in a bottle, and lost the plot with how to maintain it, and it just goes to show what kind of work ethic and talent it takes to survive on this platform as a quote unquote celebrity for any length of time. You know, Phil DeFranco, PewDiePie, some of these guys have just found their perfect niche and have never really let it go. And some people just like they get their spike and they think it's going to last forever, but it's not. You got to have a fallback. You got to say this is a phase in my life, and this isn't the rest of my life, or else you're going to get yourself burned.
Well, I think, like in the case of Phil DeFranco, he approaches it as a business, and that's what too many people on YouTube who are looking to get big and make a career of it, they don't do.
Right.
They treat it almost like a joke. You know, I'll just throw this up there and everybody's going to come. And like, no, you have to have a plan, and or at the very least and for lack of a better word, format, something that you can nurture and grow. PewDiePie is not what he started as. Phil's not what he started as. They grew with the platform and made specific plans on how to keep growing, where some people just are like, well, I did this once, it'll work again. And that's not how it works.
Yeah. And if you get a windfall where like something you hadn't planned on suddenly becomes a thing, you got to be able to step back and say, okay, if I want to maintain this, I have to start figuring out a plan. I have to make a plan. I can't just hope that it'll happen again.
Yep.
And I have a story I could tell about that in my personal life, but I can't. So anyway, it would be a really good story. Anyway, something else happened today, which I thought I would alight upon briefly. Starbucks. Today was the day.
Yes.
Starbucks bias training finally happened. Here's what it looked like. This comes from our friends at the Washington Post, CNN's source for all things. Let's see. The three Starbucks managers didn't know one another well before Tuesday morning. Huddled around an emerald guidebook at the start of the company's racial bias training, they flipped to page 2. Over the next 4 hours, the district managers, Carrie Teeter, Carol Huang, and Jose Galvez, would go through the same racial bias curriculum that 175,000 other Starbucks employees completed throughout the day. The training at 8,000 stores across the country marked the start of Starbucks' commitment to years of diversity and sensitivity programs after 2 African-American men were arrested at a Philadelphia Starbucks on April 12th. Starbucks executives and outside experts alike point to the training as a significant response to incidents of racial profiling in commercial spaces that have recently garnered national attention and are endemic to American history. Okay. At first, the differences among the three seemed obvious, Huang said. A white woman, a female Chinese immigrant, a man from the Dominican Republic. But in talking about how bias has affected their own lives and how bias informs the way they run their stores, the conversation dredged deeper. Huang, a 12-year Starbucks employee, remembered immigrating from China at age 5 and joining a classroom where students made fun of her accent. Okay. Galvez, who has worked for Starbucks for 3 years, immigrated at age 5 and said he was put in remedial classes in elementary school because of his heavily accented English. Okay. And as a manager, Teeter thought about how she might rush through an interaction with a customer with accented or broken English rather than pausing to make sure she heard the customer's name correctly. We are truly living in a hellscape where this is the thing we must worry about.
I just want
go ahead.
I want to point out Ben Shapiro said if Rosie had gone to this training, there wouldn't have been an issue. That made me laugh. I am curious why they described it as a white woman and then the other one was a female immigrant instead of a immigrant woman. That's weird. But what exactly did they learn? Did they learn that it's bad to be racist?
Well, here we go. Let's see. In the days after a white manager called 911 to report Rashawn Nelson and Dante Robinson, who just 2 minutes before had arrived at the Philadelphia store for a business meeting. See, that timeline is still kind of funky to me. Matt Christensen did a great breakdown of all the information on exactly what happened when. Yeah. And the whole 2-minute thing doesn't jive with the reported facts. But sure. Anyway, that aside, Starbucks announced that on May 29th, stores across the country would close for sessions on racial bias. Since then, the company, along with implicit bias experts and civil rights activists, have pinned Tuesday's training as just the start. No lasting change can come in 4 hours, they say. Okay. To complete the curriculum, Starbucks employees broke into groups of 3 to 5 people and progressed through a guidebook complete with pages to mark up by hand, as well as video and audio clips played on an iPad. During training, store managers did not take leadership roles, but instead worked alongside their employees. Okay, I'm going through 2 different windows now, guys, sorry. And my chat window is now fucked up. It's all brackets.
Oh.
That's interesting. Good job, YouTube.
I'm watching chat. We're good.
Yeah, refresh my page there. Okay. Moving back. Let's see. Okay. At first, employees were prompted to find differences between themselves and others. Yes, because dwelling on difference will make us all more cognizant of how not to be biased. Okay. They watched a video in which company chairman Howard Schultz talked about his vision for a more inclusive company and country. Okay. They reflected on what a place of belonging means to them, and they examined their own biases. Each group viewed a documentary underwritten by Starbucks and directed by I don't know who Stanley Nelson is. In the film, people of color talk about experiences of being racially profiled, including being followed in stores. Footage from the civil rights movement quickly progresses to 21st century cell phone videos capturing people being dragged off a plane, threatened in a New York deli, and choked at a North Carolina Waffle House.
Okay.
Because these things are exactly the same, and our society is the same as it was back in the 60s. The guidebook also prompted employees to propose suggestions for corporate policy and to offer input on the obstacles they face in making all customers feel welcome. Near the end of the training, employees listened to audio recordings from other workers describing times they acted on their biases. One worker grabbed a tip jar and set it behind the counter when a group of young men walked into the store. Young men? Okay. Another told a scruffy man not to panhandle when he was actually standing in line with his wife. Near the end of the training, employees decided what steps they would take to make customers and one another feel more welcome. Stephanie Creary, an identity and diversity expert at the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School, oh my God, said that to truly resonate, the training would have to address people across a continuum, from those who didn't formerly recognize that racial bias existed in the United States to those that contend with it every day. Also, an effective curriculum had to impart tools for when employees return to work on Wednesday. I'm going to pause there to get a drink of water. Okay, quote, what I'm looking forward to is to see how the training evolves it to also being one about helping the employees understand what they need to do differently, Creary said. Sharon Eiffel, President and Director Counsel of the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund, and Heather McGee, President of Demos. I read these names the other day with the lady who turned being at this event into a nonprofit, I think. Served as volunteer advisors on the curriculum. Speaking to reporters last week, they said they would publish a report this summer about how Starbucks can address issues of bias, quote, in a comprehensive way. McGee said the volunteer advisors, quote, set high standards for accountability with the company and would not just, quote, be a rubber stamp to validate their programming. Quote, as an African-American woman going into this conversation, I had a lot of cynicism about how much a corporation would actually be committed to making a significant, meaningful difference after the headlines faded, McGee said. What surprised me has been the depth of commitment the Starbucks leadership had to seeing this as essential to their mission. Tuesday's training for employees was identical to the curriculum given to Starbucks executives over the past week and marked the beginning of monthly training sessions for employees on issues beyond racial bias. Starbucks will also host a leadership conference for store managers when the monthly sessions end next year. Speaking with reporters Tuesday morning, Schultz talked about going through the training with other executives and hearing the stories of a colleague who grew up in South Africa during apartheid.
Oh, dear God.
Schultz said the woman, quote, wanted us to understand the imprinting of that experience on her life and that the group was so moved during the conversation that they paused for a short break. And here's the last paragraph. Quote, trying to, as a white person, fully understand as much as possible the fact that a person of color never quite feels comfortable in a public space in America and hearing it from them because it's not something we think about. How can we be better people, unquote? Schultz said, quote, how can we be better citizens? What else can we do to try and advance a feeling of equality in the country? The end. Thank you, Cryptic. If I touch the Chinese manager lady, I'd be two Wangs it'd be two Wangs touching. Oh, God.
Cryptic, I love you.
Anyway,
I do want to say I am impressed that the two examples they actually gave there, besides the apartheid one, the two before that, it was just a group of men. They didn't say color, and the other one was a scruffy looking man, and again they didn't say color, which I think they would have mentioned if that had been part of the case.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So at least this wasn't just about we can stop racism. But they could have done all of this by just simply saying, don't treat customers differently based on how they look. The end.
Yeah.
Literally. And of course, their company policies of, not letting people sit in stores. You've already changed that. No big deal. And you don't need to have wasn't this like a 4-hour meeting?
Yeah, and it's the first of many, apparently.
Well, that's the other thing. Real quick, sorry, Satsu.
No problem.
When I heard that part, I've worked for corporate employees before where we've heard, we're going to have monthly meetings. This shit will die out before the end of the year. I'm positive of it.
Oh, yeah. Well, considering the people that they're dealing with, they did have to do this. Because what the people are after, like, they don't really care about the results. They don't care about the people really that it happened to either. That shit's like secondary. Like they talk about it like it's a big thing and it matters to them, but it really doesn't. What they want is like public prostration.
Yeah.
And they want it to be at a grand scale. Like it can't just be, you know, some off the cuff. Like it has to be humiliating. It has to be big, and it has to scream, "We apologize for doing whatever we did." Because if it doesn't, it won't be good enough. So they had to. They definitely had to, because if they didn't, then every article would read, "What they're doing isn't good enough," and and we'll tell you why this is a problem in America. So considering the people, yeah, they definitely had to do it, but they could have easily just solved this problem by what you said, of course, but
yeah, the part that bothers me is this generalized indictment of all their employees that you are all guilty of something. It's not a matter of addressing specific individual people who may do something egregious. There are human errors that have nothing to do with being racist or classist or anything else. It's just, you know, people aren't perfect. They make assumptions, sometimes incorrect ones, etc. But taking all of your employees aside, mandating that you must sit through this thing where we tell you you all have biases, and biases are inherently bad, and you have to overcome your biases, and if you don't, you're bad. And I don't foresee how this program, even if it doesn't last the year, as Monkey says, doesn't simply instill anything else but fear in that company of saying the wrong thing at the wrong time, and also providing anyone who comes into one of their stores who wants to manufacture a grudge from instantly getting a payday. Because of something that they say, you know, microaggression. I'll dollars to donuts. Microaggressions came up in this training somewhere.
Oh, sure.
Somewhere. And if we start setting the standard for what qualifies as some racial slight, some bias crime, as you know, microaggressions or things like, I saw a bunch of rowdy young men come into the store, and just as a precaution, I moved the tip jar aside. Did they see it? Is that some kind of personal offense? Or are you in a neighborhood where things like that have happened? Who cares? You know what happened by doing that? You're not going to get a tip. So what did that mean to the people walking in the store? Nothing. Anyway, that's overreaction, fear-mongering, and by the way, everybody, you're all sinners, just like everybody else.
Well, I mean, it'll be interesting if they do apply this to its fullest extent, like the way that they're displaying it, to where they're like, I don't care who you are or what color you are. If you are displaying signs of bias, you will be punished. So even you fucking black people who are celebrating this shit right now, and you think that it's okay to just shit on white people or whatever, like, you will be punished too. If they take it to the fullest and they follow through on all of it and say, we won't allow that shit in any capacity, then I'll be like, all right, I mean, that's your rule. That's what you're going with, and everybody's being treated equally in that regard. But we know that's not what's going to happen.
Well, I also just kind of confused. It's like, okay, we're going to have a woman come in and talk to us about South African apartheid. Yeah. Because two guys refused to leave the store and chose to be arrested after being given the option to just walk out. Like, I do not see how you could imagine two more opposite end of the spectrum situations, but that South African apartheid has to become part of the conversation at Starbucks. It boggles the mind. It really does.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
that
I
stuff
don't
is
care.
Still happening today, apparently.
Yeah,
that's the narrative, at least.
Yeah, I don't care what Starbucks does. My only utility with Starbucks is going to get cocoa from time to time. I feel sorry for the people at Starbucks, the ones that I've gone to and the ones that I see regularly who work there, that had to go through this, and that now they're going to have to walk on eggshells on the off chance that anybody or anyone says anything, or alternately, their coworkers decide to act as informants for anything that they decide might be a problem.
Oh yeah, because I didn't see it happen. Like some people, a lot of people who go to Starbucks in general to get coffee are very just they get unrealistically angry about just dumb shit at Starbucks.
Oh, yeah.
Like the littlest shit they'll get mad about, and they'll talk about, I want to see your manager and shit over like the dumbest, smallest shit. And this is like, I've seen this happen with all kinds of people. It don't even matter what color they are. Just people get asinine about their coffee. So, I mean, yeah. I don't know.
I said a long time ago, I think, and I know this will never happen, this is just one of those things, but I think it should be a requirement that everyone upon exiting high school has to work in retail or the service industry for at least 6 months ahead of going off into the real world. Because once you know what it's like to work on the other side of the counter, you become a better customer. I think you cannot avoid but start to empathize, not to the point where, like, you know, someone being an absolute douche nozzle as an employee gets away with it necessarily, but just learning patience, understanding that someone behind on the other side of the counter is a human being who's having to juggle 17 things at once half the time, you know, and gain some empathy for someone in a position of the service industry, which is not always fun to do, but is necessary in order to sort of build a career. And a lot of people don't do that. I know a lot of people I grew up with, they went immediately from high school to college, or from high school to, you know, working for dad at the computer company or something. They never had to go through the process of actually starting from the ground up kind of thing. So anyway.
I do want to address a couple of things said in chat repeatedly here. People saying, you know, if they had to go through this, they would have quit. As somebody who used to sit through a fuck ton of dumbass meetings for no reason, I always enjoyed them. No matter what it was we were getting preached to that time. It was time off the floor. I was getting paid for it. And most of it was this meeting for most of the people working at Starbucks was entirely unnecessary. They're going to go back to their job tomorrow, and they're going to continue doing what they have been doing. And yeah, they just got paid for half a day of doing nothing.
Pretty much.
Yep. But that aside, guys, it is now your time. Bottom of the hour. The next half hour is all yours. If you have questions, comments, conspiracy theories, complaints, your own experiences with South African apartheid, please put them into the comments. If you have questions for us directly, please put plenty of question marks afterwards so we know that it's for us. And Jean-Pierre wants to know if we've been to a film festival before. I have gone to a movie that was being featured at a film festival. I've never had the free time to just camp at a film festival and just watch movie after movie. So
I have not.
Nope.
Let's see. Della Hazed. Maybe I'm saying that right. Sadly, in my experience, at least, just because you do or have worked in those industries doesn't mean you gain the understanding / appreciation, regardless of how long they're there. I'm not saying it's a panacea. I'm just saying that you're more likely to have a little bit more empathy for someone in the service industry if you yourself have been there.
Yeah. I said most of the people I knew, like at Walmart, they were like that. They were, you know, much better customers. But yeah, there were a few who were like still complete cunts. Night, baby, love you.
Yeah, people are always going to be people, but I just think that if you don't at least have that frame of reference at all in your life, then it's very difficult. I would think to just sort of conjure up that understanding of what it's like to be in retail or on the service side of the world. That's all.
Yeah, well, some of the people I know were assholes to people who worked in the service industry, specifically because people were assholes to them when they were doing it.
Sure.
And they're just like, yeah, well, how does it feel, motherfucker? I'm like, you know, that person wasn't the person who did that to you, right?
Yeah, that says more about the person acting like that than it does about whatever the person on the other side of the counter is doing.
Right.
It always amazed me. I remember one night we were really short-staffed. It was actually I was working overnights, which I wasn't supposed to do anyway, but I was the only managerial person on the floor. There was this really pissed off customer who was yelling at a cashier because there weren't more cashiers. I'm like, dude, she doesn't make the fucking schedule.
Right.
Not only that, don't you think her being the only cashier like here is fucking shitty for her too?
This motherfucker was shopping at 3 o'clock in the morning. And there was always a rush at that time because there was a local factory that got out. But yeah, we were supposed to, you know, have all 32 lanes open because maybe this dickhead would come in that night and shot. Yeah, I hate customers.
I remember one time I walked into the Starbucks that I go to, and having worked retail in the past, and knowing that the location the Starbucks is at is very popular because of the surrounding businesses and things, I walked in and I saw 3 people behind the counter and no one coming in and out of the back. And I thought, oh shit, they are way understaffed today. And if you took a moment and actually looked them in the eye, you saw the panic and the stress. But everybody, I mean, at least from my perspective, most everybody else in the place is completely oblivious and standing there looking impatient and angry because their coffee wasn't coming out fast enough.
Yeah.
But if you actually took a moment to say, you've got 25 people either waiting for their coffee and another 7 in line right now, and you've only got 3 people behind the counter, 1 running the register, and only 2 other people trying to make coffees, you would understand that. You know, but the people don't seem to notice that stuff, and it's really disheartening sometimes. And you can't do anything for them. You know, you can't look at them and say, "Hey, give them." I mean, I have stepped in one time when somebody was giving somebody some shit because they were all like impatient and everything, and I looked at them and said, "Hey, they're by themselves." It was I forget exactly what the store was, but somebody was giving some girl complete, absolute, total shit because somebody else, their partner, or whatever, had stepped out, and she's by herself behind the counter. And this person's being all impatient, you know, asking like, why are you working the register when I have coffee or something? And like, she's by herself. Give her a second. And you know, it's not that I feel like I have to stand up for somebody, but it just pissed me off that someone was just so insensitive. It's just like, come on. Anyway. The
one time I made a comment to a customer where I thought I might have gotten in trouble for it. If you work at Walmart and you work up front, you will constantly hear people bitch. Why do they have all of these registers and none of them are open? Or like 3 of them are open. Like, and I could not help myself. I was in a bad mood, and this cunt walked by me and said that. Yeah. And she goes, why do they have all these registers when there's only 3 cashiers? And I'm like, would you prefer there were only 3 fucking registers?
Well, there's also the fact that this is how they control the flow of the process. You know, I mean, if you've got few people behind the counter and you've got 2 registers open, if you open up both registers, you start building up the work for the people behind the counter. By closing down one of the registers, you narrow things down a bit and give the guys behind the counter some breathing room to get the stuff done they have backed up. You know, it's the old thing. You can't control the people, but you can control the space. If you narrow down how many people are expecting their coffee to 1 register rather than 2, you're taking a little bit of the stress off the people having to make them. But anyway, Subcon Jazz says, I'll tell you about my apartheid experience, and the chat jumped and now it disappeared. There it is. I'll tell you about my apartheid experience. I don't have one because I wasn't born yet. Let's see.
Jean-Pierre asked me what was the first game I played, I think. That was the question I got from him. And if I remember correctly, like trying to think back the best that I can, the earliest game that I can remember playing was a Sonic game. It was like, I think it was Sonic CD actually. Was like the first one, because I had watched people play video games a lot at that time. And the place where I was living, the games that they used to play was this game called Alone in the Dark. It was this horror game on PC. Old as fuck. That game used to terrify me.
Alone in the Dark was great. The first one, I mean, it was one of the earliest sort of survival horror things. I mean, you could almost the fixed camera and all that kind of stuff is basically the precursor to
Resident Evil.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was all based around Lovecraftian Cthulhu lore and everything was great. I mean, it doesn't hold up today. The graphics are all
the graphics are terrible.
Yeah, but at the time, it was something else. It was creepy as fuck, and it was able to generate atmosphere. Even with such rudimentary visuals as they had back then.
It was that, and it had that creepy death scene where, like, every time you died in the game, they would show whatever killed you, like dragging you through the sewers, whatever.
Exactly.
And that shit was terrifying to me as a kid. But it was that game, this game called Dead Isle, I believe, and it was like a cannibalism game. Like you crashed on an island or something, and there was these cannibals there, and they used to fuck you up. And then it was Sonic. That was the one game I remember playing. I wasn't allowed to play the other games though because, like I said, I was too young. But I watched a lot of it. But yeah, Sonic CD I think may have been the first game I ever played.
Let's see. RJ Bansma says the company that was asking Behring to advertise their CBD oil weren't verified by Google's AdSense program and knew of the risks and didn't tell him or others about it. Well, it goes both ways. People that decided to advertise for them should have done their research ahead of time to make sure they were in good situation, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how they just came out of nowhere though, because there was a while where like I saw nothing from them at all, and then I was just like a wave of all the time, and I'm like, where the fuck did they just come from out of nowhere? And then
thankfully, no one's ever asked me to be sponsored or asked if I would be sponsored by them or anything. So, Dr. Pepper, though, I'm waiting for you.
I would like just to point out that I called that.
Yeah, you did.
Because that was an obvious one, and they put out a thing today, the company on their Twitter, where they said they had been working with YouTube, and then they pulled their money from YouTube to go directly to creators, and they kind of insinuated that's what happened to all of their creators who were advertising their product. Little conspiratorial, if you ask me. And again, YouTube had just cracked down on the marijuana thing, and cannabis oil, it's not marijuana, but I think somebody at YouTube is just an idiot. Wait, no. We know a lot of people at YouTube are just idiots, so.
Straight Sis Mail says, the first game I played was Moon Hunt on the Atari 1600. Jesus.
Oh, did you guys see the new Atari system comes out tonight? Kind of?
No.
I had never even heard of it, and Mr. Mediker put out a tweet saying, "I can't believe this goes on sale tomorrow." And basically, it's not actually on sale; it's pre-order. It's a pre-order GoFundMe kind of thing.
What, so it's a new console.
Yeah, it's a new console. It's not necessarily a console. It's kind of like the Steam box thing they used to sell. I forget what that was called.
Okay.
You'll be able to play video games on it. It's kind of like a Xbox and stuff, but I don't see where you can like put games in it. I guess you'll have to download them offline, so it's basically a PC.
Okay, so Atari is set to begin taking pre-orders Wednesday for a modern version of its classic 70s video game system. Atari's old rival Intellivision is reemerging too. Originally introduced... so is this like one of those mini Nintendos that has like pre-programmed classic games in it or something?
No. This has an AMD Radeon graphics card built into it.
Okay.
It's basically a home entertainment center is kind of what they're going for, kind of like what Xbox and PlayStation have going on with their systems, but without like a dedicated library of games coming in specifically for it right now. The way it sounded from what I read, like I said, it sounds like it's set up to play computer games.
Okay.
Rather than a console game, as it were.
It's a weird direction for Atari, but okay.
It is. But it's also an interesting business model that they're trying. They're trying to basically crowdfund this console. Both to gauge interest and to pay for it, that's an interesting step.
Crowdfund a console. I mean, yeah, okay.
You don't have to worry about sales because you've got them as they go. The only problem is whether or not they're going to meet the requirements to pay for the actual production.
This is Kyle says, Satsu, if you could have a sequel to any game, what would it be?
A sequel to any game. I'm trying to think of something that I've played that I enjoyed a lot that didn't get a sequel.
Real quick, while you're doing that, RJ, the Atari thing is not Android based; it's actually Linux based.
Give me a second to think about that one.
Sure. I know I missed.
He wants Dying Light too, you guys.
Well, they just fucking did they just did a predictive announcement, I guess. They announced that they might be announcing it at E3. So
a predictive announcement. I like that.
Yeah.
Random America says people ask you to do ads all the time? ? Used to when I was taking ad requests. I may, this is a preview, I may do ad night again on Friday, which is the first of the month. Check with me on Thursday, but I may do that.
Jean-Pierre says, is the phrase the customer is always right a lie? No. It's wrong, but it's not a lie.
Yeah.
There's good ideology behind that, and that's to not hurt your customers for no goddamn reason. If you can fix something, fix it for them. But yeah, there's a lot of shitty customers too. So.
Well, hold on. If you've ever worked in the industry while they were teaching you that, usually the way that conversation went is our policy is to go by, the customer is always right. That's not to say that they are, but you need to treat them basically like they are. And that's how it was always presented to me. It's like, well, obviously they're going to be wrong, but you don't need to come at them like they're wrong. If you treat them like they're wrong, even if they're actually in the wrong, that's bad. Like, it's bad for us regardless. Even if we're in the right, it's a bad thing to do.
Yeah, you want to make the customer go away feeling like at least they were listened to and respected. That is the most you can usually ask for in most situations, and try to do what you can to make it right. It doesn't mean that what they are complaining about is, a valid complaint or anything else, but you just want to, at the end of the day, let them know that they weren't blown off, more or less. Yeah,
that's why I loved my old job, because my manager specifically told me that policy does not apply here. He was like, yeah, that we don't play by that. The customer's wrong, they are wrong, and you make sure you let them know. Don't do it respectfully, but they're not always right, especially in this industry when we have to do, because I remember I told you I had that dude come up to me and he's like, I got a bill from Verizon and I bought the phone from you. And I'm like, this ain't a Verizon store. It's like, what the fuck you want me to do for you?
Faith is abdication over you says it's an axiom. Yes, it is an axiom. It's not necessarily a way of living. Let's see.
No, Data, you're right. Data says if you treat people right, they come back. There were many times that I approved like a return that absolutely should not have happened. But that builds loyalty with the store, and those people spent far more with us than whatever we lost from a shitty exchange.
Right. Oh yeah. That's why Target takes back everything.
Yeah. you eat a little crow today, and someone will be buying you dinner for the rest of your life, kind of thing. Let's see. This is Kyle says, I got detention in 2nd grade for playing soccer. Never understood why, because I was the only one that got detention.
Wow.
Well, they didn't like it. It was bias. It was bias is what it was. Michael Hatfield says, I still have the original Atari 2600 with the box and about 30 plus games, and an Atari 5200 with about 20 games.
Damn.
Might be collector's items right now, depending on the condition, But
okay, Harbos. Yeah, I want to address that. I'm glad you brought that up. Harbos says, what about the push to get Bill Maher fired?
Over what?
According to Dusty, it's retaliation for the Roseanne show.
Well, it is, and that's the problem. Because Bill Maher has compared Donald Trump to an orangutan. Or orangutan, if you want to be specific.
Sure.
Here's the thing. Somebody getting fired for free speech things is not a reason to go, hey, let's get other people fired for it. That's the exact opposite reaction. Now, if all you're doing is going, hey, you guys did this, what's the difference? That's one thing. But an actual push to get him fired over it, no, I'd never support something like that.
the Roseanne thing is to be the start of a crusade to just get people fired that you don't agree
Well,
with.
this happens a lot when any conservative is fired for anything. Suddenly, you're going to get all of these tweets about something somebody said 10 years ago, and there's points to it being hypocritical, sure. And if that's all you're pointing out, I have no problem with that. It's when people start going, well, Roseanne got fired, we should fire these other people. Like, no, none of them should be fired. That's the point that should be made, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I'm not seeing any questions here. Or at least I missed some.
Yeah, Rox, I get that. Rox says it's about applying the rules equally for everyone, and that's fine. But what we should be doing is arguing that Roseanne shouldn't be fired rather than arguing that other people should be. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Am I saying this right?
I'm sorry. I was trying to talk, but I forgot I muted myself because somebody was like buzzing the thing outside. It makes perfect sense. Especially if if you're actually angry that somebody got fired for something that they said, it makes perfect sense. If you're just unhappy at the reasoning and that's it, then yeah, it's probably more likely for you to jump ship and jump on the train to get other people fired or whatever. But as a free speech issue, yeah, you're making perfect sense. If you shouldn't be advocating for anybody to do it, because basically what'll happen is if they do say, okay, fine, we're going to make it equal, Bill Maher is fired, but also here's other people who said fucked up things that you like that are also fired too. Yeah, that doesn't solve anything.
No, it's scorched earth burns everybody. There's
Original Stream says, you mean like Whoopi Goldberg wearing a shirt showing Trump being shot in the head and keeping her job?
Yeah, again, I mean, it's a double standard. Joy Behar, however you say her fucking name, has said horrible things. Bill Maher has done far worse than show Donald Trump as an orangutan. There's a lot of people, especially comedians, who have said a lot of bad shit, and they don't end up fired for it. Yes, that is a double standard. But again, the idea here isn't that we should try getting those people fired. It should be pointing out Roseanne shouldn't have got fired for this.
Mm-hmm. Right. Backskin says, I say fire everyone. TV is shit these days anyway.
That's right. See if some of these TV stars can make it on YouTube.
Well, I'd like to see some YouTube executives see if they can make it on YouTube.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, considering all of the actual official YouTube channels have like less than 100,000 subscribers.
Oh yeah, isn't that always amazing? Like like the news channels, like I think CNN's YouTube channel has fewer subscribers than PewDiePie, and that's what pisses them off. It's like we're the news network, and like PewDiePie gets more attention than we do, and that's it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jean-Pierre says, have you guys seen DC Cab starring Bill Maher? Yes. It didn't star Bill Maher, though. Bill Maher wasn't exactly a star at that point. Mr. T was a bigger star. I think he was actually on the box art for DC Cab. So, yeah.
I remember seeing that the first VCR my family ever owned. One of the first, I think it was the first time we rented movies. DC Cab was one of the ones we got.
God. And God, that movie. It's so... I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it in years and years and years. It's probably pretty bad now. Everyone is less than PewDiePie. I know. I'm just saying, is just like, something that's essentially a comedy channel outpaces quote unquote legitimate media outlets. Thank you, Krampus from Kansas. This might just be me, but making people work in a field to get understand that experience sounds a lot like what Starbucks was trying to do to get people to, I think maybe get people to understand. Yeah, like here's apartheid. Here's like the history of my family, and 400 years ago there were slaves or something. And I just want to make coffee. Can I just make coffee and go home?
Yeah, all they had to do is make their coffee, be nice to them. The end. Data says.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Jean-Pierre really wants to know if I have mutton chops. The world may never know. Go ahead, Monkey.
Data said, asked all three of us, have you seen the late 40s, 50s retail store training film about how to sell to black people on YouTube? No, but I'd be interested. If you have a link, shoot it to me over on somewhere.
I'm just amazed there was YouTube back in the 40s and 50s.
Have you guys seen the video from around the same time warning young boys about the gays?
Oh yeah, like that. There's a really creepy like guy with glasses. Yeah. Mystery Science Theater did a lot of those. They did those as like little intros for a lot of movies. Oh yeah, like as fillers. They do a couple of those like training videos before they got into the main feature to fill up time, because the main feature was usually like, you know, less than 90 minutes or something because it's some old movie. And so they'd start off with like, salesman today. Boy, John, I got to go out and sell some brushes. Let me tell you how to do that. You know, like that kind of thing. It'd be hilarious because they're just so dated and weird. Or like the one where like teaching a guy to ask a girl out on a date. Those are hilarious. How do you best approach a woman or a girl to ask her out on a date?
I just love the gay one because there's a line in there where it says, the problem is John is a homosexual.
Yeah.
Every time.
And you got to wonder, it's like, could that guy walk the streets in that era after that thing came out and not be... You think about people taking a character someone plays on TV seriously as a real thing today. I can't even imagine when you got such limited avenues of media back then. If a whole bunch of people saw that in the theater and then they saw that guy walking down the street, it's like, oh my God, like, I'm just an actor. No.
Get away from me. You're a homosexual. That video, it makes me laugh every time.
It's funny. Or the posture king and queen, where they do like the posture for children thing. What's good posture? That was funny. 4-minute warning, guys.
Or 9 out of 10 doctors recommend smoking cools. Yeah. There used to be some great ads, man.
Yeah. Back when things weren't so buttoned down and things were bad for you and nobody cared or knew. It's like the healthiest cigarette on the market.
Oh my God. Anyhow, what other questions do we have here? Have you guys seen the unequal opportunity race they made a while back? You can find it on YouTube. No, I haven't.
No, there's a lot of things. Yeah, Flintstones and cigarettes, sugar. Yeah, exactly. Or like John Wayne doing cigarette commercials and then dying of lung cancer. Yeah.
Straight Sith Male says, "Fuck, I'm getting old." I feel you, man.
Yeah. Old as the hills. Yeah, what was it? I forget what it was, but I was looking up movies that we could possibly watch on one of the movie stream things. And I forget what it was, but I looked up something. I was like, oh yeah, I like that movie. It's from 17 years ago. It's like, holy shit. Was it 17 years ago already? Oh my God. I remember when that came out in the theater. Yeah, Backscan says, no problem. I realized the other day 1990 was more than 20 years ago, and I felt like a grandpa. Well, Monkey does feel like a grandpa every day.
Yep. And Jean-Pierre, of course, I have film of Grand Monkey taking her first steps.
Hey. Let's see. Well, we're coming down to the end here. Anything we want to plug before we get into closing out for the night? When's your guys' next Counts of the Night or Barons of the Zombies stream?
Oh, wait, Monkey, what did they come up with last night? The one that we
Monkey
liked.
to remember something?
Yeah, because he really liked it.
I'm high as fuck right now.
Damn it. Somebody in the chat, remind me what was the name we came up with for the channel.
Oh.
Chimp Change? Oh yeah, that was it.
Chimp Change. That's great. That's great.
Jean-Pierre, Grand Monkey's first words, and this is honest to God truth, was grandpa.
Aww.
And there's no real stories. I haven't seen her in a week. She's coming over tomorrow, and I am so happy.
Oh, Sanguine says Dukes of the Dead. Lords of the Night, Dukes of the Dead. Well,
There
guys,
were quite a few tossed around. Other than that, our next live stream is on Wednesday, by the way. We're doing an open server.
Tomorrow night. Okay.
7
Open
days.
server tomorrow night. Is it going to be 7 days to die?
Uh-huh.
Well, guys, that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow night, per usual, we'll be on Monkey's channel. And thank everyone for coming out. Thank to everyone who donated. Appreciate that very much. Thanks to moderators for keeping an eye on things, even though most everybody here is, in relative terms, well behaved. You guys still continually and forever are the best audience on YouTube, if not the internet in general. But other than that, guys, I hope you have a good night. I hope you have a good Wednesday, and we will see you tomorrow. Monkey, Satsu, thank you for joining me.
No problem.
Everyone, your lives make us sad. Night, night.
Bye, guys.
Have a good night, everybody.